Hey astronauts, this is Brandi and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. If you are new here, hi, welcome. As I said, my name is Brandi and I like to combine tarot and astrology to give everyday practical insights. So, if you are not familiar with how this works, all you have to do is use your intuition to choose a pile. But before we get started, let me tell you what this reading is. This reading is from the polls, which you can find on the community tab. And it is our poll winner, how will you meet your future spouse, with 41% of the vote. So if you would like to participate in the readings that we do on this channel, like I said, just head on over to that community tab. We are going to get into the nitty-gritty of how you will meet your future spouse, you know, maybe the when, the where, the circumstances, any first impressions that we pick up on. So I'm super excited and we are going to get started. But before we do, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget that I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I also pop up during the week. So if you want to ask me any questions, then you can do so. Private readings are available in the description bar below if you want some further, deeper, personal insights. So let's get started on these piles. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey pile number 1, let's get into how you will meet your future spouse. We have strength. We have the 8 of Pentacles. We have the 8 of Swords reversed. We have the 10 of Cups. We have the Temperance card. And we have the 7 of Swords. All right. There we go. Make that a little bit neater for you guys. I might move it a little bit more. So let's get into these cards of, you know, your future spouse. So, who is this person? So we know right away that this is a hardworking person, somebody who has a lot of discipline. We know this because we have the Strength card. So the Strength card would imply that they have dealt with some BS, okay? So they've dealt with some ish in their life, and because they've gone through a lot of different tumultuous situations, they have built a strong emotional threshold, as well as they've developed a inner strength. You know, that's what the Strength card is about. It's about having a lot of discipline. It's about overcoming some of your own flaws. It's about using your capabilities to the best of your knowledge and upskilling in a way. So it's not about stagnation, which can sometimes be implied through strengths, patience, and waiting. But no, it is about growth. And so we know this person has a natural growth mindset as well. They're also somebody who's very practical and detailed oriented. They used to be someone who's very shy, but I think recently over time that they have slowly come out of their comfort zone. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say that they are a social butterfly because we do have the 7 of Swords here, but they tend to open up, I guess, more as you get to know them, which I guess that seems natural, but generally they're friendly, but they're not going to be the most extroverted person in the world. And generally I don't get the Strength card to represent somebody who is, well, I don't get the Strength card connected to the 8 of Swords and the 7 of Swords to be somebody who's generally somebody who is seen as an extrovert. Strength card on its own can be extroverted, but generally this is showing someone who can actually physically be strong. I say that because we have to look at the imagery on the card as well. And I don't know if you guys can even see the imagery as well. I can try pulling it up to my camera, see if it'll focus. But you see a man and he looks pretty fit, guys. So I really do feel like this person actually has some sort of like physical discipline, meaning like they are very physically active, more than likely someone who goes to the gym, exercises a lot, takes care of themselves actually physically. But overall, I feel like this is a very emotionally mature and evolved person. I say that because we have this 10 of Cups card and this Temperance card again. Both of these cards are emphasizing patience. They're emphasizing compromise, at least these two. And it also emphasizes like caring not only for yourself, but caring for the emotional needs of others and having an abundance of love, empathy, kindness, understanding to give. And forgiveness as well can be part of the story with the 10 of Cups. It's like there's no reason to beef. Mistakes happen, right? We do things that are not exactly in our best interest or in the interest of others. Sometimes that happens. So there's a very forgiving nature to this person in general. When we're talking about just the general setting of where you'll meet this person, it's interesting because the first thing I thought of is more than likely in a setting that has to do with educational or skill development, right? And I say that because this could be an environment like a bookstore where you are expanding your mind. This can be an environment like, let's say you go to some sort of work convention, or even, it doesn't have to be related to work, but it could be within your field, whatever that is. Like engineers might have conventions, people in technology and tech, they have plenty of conventions. There are conventions for like entrepreneurs. So this is a type of environment that would align with these cards in particular. The reason I say that is because the 8 of Pentacles represents somebody who is undergoing some sort of mastery of a craft, as well as Strength card connects to Leo, which is the house of education, and Temperance also connects to higher learning and education as well. So there's a huge theme of upskilling and education going on here. So it's some sort of environment where you might be expanding your mind. It quite literally could be work, but there are other cards that might want to imply more work, but still I've got to throw that in there. This can also mean that this is something related to a craft. If you are some sort of artist, or you have some sort of hobby that you actively work to improve, because the 8 of Pentacles is all about improving and upgrading, then this would fall into the category of meeting them through that. This can also represent meeting them through a celebration. It doesn't necessarily have to be your celebration. It could be like your friend invited you to a party, you ended up meeting them. I say that because we have the 10 of Cups. This can also mean that you've met them through family, okay? Somehow, some way, a family member has connected you to this individual, and I feel like that becomes part of the setting. But either way, you're not meeting them in an environment that is necessarily quiet. And then I guess the last interpretation I want to give, because we have Temperance here, is this can imply, you know, like you see how this person's at a party, you know, I already mentioned the party before, but Temperance in general can imply that you are meeting this person through travels. Okay, so I want to say that there, though I think the emphasis is more local, more so by local I mean within your own country. Still, I have to throw in Temperance there. I hope to have to throw in that travel element to Temperance, because that's what it's about. But I really feel like there is some sort of convention, there's some sort of celebration. I remember getting the 10 of Cups one time when it came to just like fun or activities, or you know, people that I love for like a week or a month or like several months. And generally I had a lot of family coming in town to visit me. And it was because they were coming for different parties, different events, different conventions, or different things that they had to do. They weren't just there to hang out. There was a purpose behind it. And the energy was pretty, well, pretty easygoing. So I feel like it's a very easygoing atmosphere. It's describing the vibes around it. And it's almost interesting because we have this 7 of Swords here. So it's almost like you two are both kind of like in your own corners. Reminds me of this wallflower type of vibe. Like I said, they're slowly coming out of their shell. They used to be a lot more shy than they are currently, but still, they still have this wallflower vibe. And I feel like both of you might even meet outside of the party. You might meet leaving this sort of celebration event, work, whatever. Gotta mention work. You can even see on this card, the cards are kind of dark. I'll pull it up for you guys. You can even see on this card, this person has a broom. They are working away. So this is kind of like, okay, this could possibly be I'm leaving work. I run into this person on the elevator or outside or whatever in the parking lot or something. This person is definitely outside in some sort of grass. Could be a field. Two representations of a field going on here. Don't think you're meeting them at the gym. Which they do seem to go to a lot, but I don't think you are meeting them there. So I just want you to know that. When it comes to timing, because we have strength and we have temperance, I'm not going to lie, that does indicate some waiting, some slowing down, some timing that's not exactly what you would completely desire, right? You probably want to meet this person right now, as soon as possible, immediately. It's actually going to take some time for this person to come into your life. If we're talking about specific time periods, this could be Leo season, you know, July, August. This could be Sagittarius season, which I believe is November, December. That's the strongest indicator when it comes to time. Eight of Pentacles is also very slow moving. You have to think about the energy of the card of someone diligently working away to grow and develop and become a master of their skill set, to undergo some training, to be supported by financial backers. This is not something that happens within a period of like 6 months or 6 weeks or something like that. This takes time to grow and to develop and to come into fruition. So it may be some time before you meet this person, but I do feel like this is going to more than likely be in the warmer months. That is what my intuition is telling me. But obviously, there's obviously going to be outliers. This is general reading when it comes to that. If we're looking at the vibes around you guys, I feel as though what happens is, while there's this commotion, there's a lot of activity going along and happening around you, you two, like I said, end up being a little bit more away from the crowd and kind of get wrapped up in this deeper conversation. I love these cards because it doesn't necessarily show this crazy magnetic attraction immediately, which is not to say that you're not going to be attracted to them at all. It just kind of says that the focus and the mindset of both of you isn't necessarily like, I'm here to meet someone. It's more so, I'm here to get something done, to work, to focus on something, to deal with a situation, to whatever the case may be. But you're not technically focused on particularly meeting an individual at the moment, or even in that mindset, because there's an element of the Strength card that is like, oh, I'm enduring this, like, which is why it gives me like work vibes a little bit, like how when you're at work and you're just sitting there looking at the clock, waiting until it strikes the time it's time to leave, right? You know, whether that's 4:35, 6, whatever time you get off work. So there's this element of just like white knuckling it and being like, oh, I just got to get through this situation. And it's like you both end up striking up conversation because you both seem to be like not exactly fully desiring to be in the environment that you're in. Not to say that the environment's like chaotic, but I just feel like there's a lot going on, especially when we have this Temperance representing blending of different elements. I usually get the Temperance card to represent more than one person, similar to the 10 of Cups. I rarely get it to just represent, hey, I'm just one person hanging out here. There's several people, several elements going on. Sometimes it's a crowd, but generally it's at least like 5 people. Don't ask me. This is how the cards come to me, right? But it's generally that, and I feel as though this is like, okay, I just want to pull away. I need a moment to myself to breathe. And you both take this moment and you end up striking a conversation. And this conversation actually tends to be very inspiring and very thought-provoking. And it's like you both end up gaining a new perspective and looking at things a little bit differently. And I love this element of the Eight of Swords here, because the Eight of Swords is almost like when you meet this person, you're a little bit like maybe blinded to their attractiveness, and it could just be your mood. And I feel the same way about this person. It could just be like the mood, the atmosphere is just not the place that you want to be in right now. And so it's almost like you guys accidentally end up connecting and vibing. Something about the energy is happening, that unfolding that way. Okay, I want to say that. And the other thing I want to say about this Eight of Pentacles, sorry, this Eight of Swords reverse, is that when it comes to this conversation that you're having that feels a little bit inspiring, that feels more natural, it's almost like you can finally speak up and talk about the things that excite you, talk about the things that may seem a little bit more out of the box. Like it's the exchange of ideas. And when you see this Eight of Swords coming undone, it's like, oh, I can finally speak up. I can finally say how I feel or what I'm thinking or these wild thoughts in my head. Because, you know, we can't always say every single thought in our head to everyone. But it feels like that moment. Like it's almost like you both have this space for each other where you just allow each other to talk freely. And because of that, the conversation is very happy. It's very engaging. It feels just like natural. It feels like very at home, you know, like this Ten of Cups energy. Like, oh, this feels familiar. This feels like a little bit at home. This feels at peace. This feels calming. I feel like we're really understanding something. And it's like they give you a new perspective on something and you give them a new perspective on something. And they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or you say, oh, I never really thought about things that way. And then the conversation continues from there. I will say it's interesting that we have this Seven of Swords on the end, because generally I get the Seven of Swords to sort of like want to shy away from the connection. And I think it's because at the moment that you guys meet, I don't feel as though either one of you, like, I don't feel as though you guys' real focus is really on meeting someone. I don't know what's happening here with this environment. I might just be the place that you're at in your life where you're focused on meeting certain goals, or you're just busy and you're not really trying to connect in that way. But you're obviously going to end up connecting in that way. I don't think after this conversation, either one of you are coming away with the fact that, oh yeah, that's my soulmate, I'm going to marry this person. It's more like, I think there's a vibe going on here, but I don't know what this is, and I'm not sure if I want to continue to engage in it. Like I said, the Seven of Swords is like, I want to shy away a little bit from this connection. So more than likely, something is going to bring you guys back together or reconnect you. That is going to ensure that you have future and more conversations. But this is a slow burn if I've ever seen it. So I do want to throw that out there. Any advice that I can pick up from the cards: don't shy away. Be open and willing to engage. I know that when we have this Strength card here, sometimes it puts you through so many different hoops that you can become jaded, or you can become desensitized to love, or you can become burnt out by the thought of engaging in love, or because you've had so many disappointments, you've had so many circumstances that didn't work out. But the cards are saying be welcome to it. Don't shy away from it. Keep an open mind. Don't close your mind off to it. Happiness is definitely for you. It's written in the cards. We have this Ten of Cups. It really does show a sense of strong comfortability and happiness that will more than likely be in the future for both of you. And I do get the sense that you guys are coming from different ideologies at the very least, if not backgrounds. And even if you guys have those differences, it's almost like they just work together. They go well together. It feels good. So just don't pull away from it. Don't just think that this is some fleeting moment. This is actually an opportunity to engage. But like I said, it doesn't matter anyway. You can't run from what is fated and what is meant for you. At least that's my mindset. So I will see you next time. Hopefully this resonates, pile number one. If it doesn't resonate, you know, feel free to choose a new pile. You have a very diligent person coming your way. I really feel as though that they are a strong conversationalist, especially with the Seven of Swords. That's someone who's very strategic about how they choose to communicate, and very thoughtful in how they communicate. Sometimes you might meet the representative a little bit, but I just don't see the overall vibe of these cards to be someone who is like manipulative or cruel or anything like that. If anything, it would probably be more like, oh, I don't fully know if I want to show my true colors. I'm going to pull away a little bit. But as I said, you know, lean into it. Be open to it. Okay? So that is what I have for you. And like I said, if it doesn't resonate, feel free to choose a new pal, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Don't forget, I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Feel free to join the lives, get that weekly collective. And then also, if you want a private reading from me, the link can be found below, and we can go in more depth about how you meet your future spouse and any other qualities about them or whatever else you want to talk about. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number two, let's get started on how you meet your future spouse. We have the Four of Pentacles, the Six of Cups, the Five of Swords, the Hierophant, the Eight of Swords, and Justice. Let's get into this. So, when we're talking about like, who is this person, your future spouse, we're looking at the Four of Pentacles. And this can definitely represent someone who is just in a place where they are protecting their peace, meaning they are scared to be out there and take a chance and take a leap and move forward. They're not the type of person who is known for being someone who will, I guess you could say, be the aggressor, or be the aggressor sounds so like harsh, but the person who reaches out first, the person who makes that initial move, that's generally not their personality. We have the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles, they like their structure, they like their routine, they like their security. So one thing about this person is they're definitely 100% stable. That's important to them, having their comforts, not being someone who is taking a lot of risky ventures or even putting themselves in uncomfortable positions. Four of Pentacles can have some positive traits in the sense that, you know, you get what you expect, right? It's very much like a traditional mindset, and that could even just be part of their life, right? They could just be like the average guy, average girl. They work a 9 to 5, you know, they go home and maybe they watch a bit of TV or scroll the internet or something like that. And maybe they have like a hobby on the weekend where they hang out with friends and they go dancing. They live a very stereotypical life, which is not bad. And I love that we have this Four of Pentacles and the Hierophant coming up twice. I generally get that to represent someone who would prefer to have a more traditional relationship. I just want to keep that in mind. If that's not what you're looking for, feel free to choose a new pile, because this may not be your spouse. This is probably someone else. So I do want you to know they have that structured mindset. They have a traditional mindset. They are someone who may be more into, you know, gender roles or something along the lines of that. It may not be every part of traditional mindset, but for the most part, I will say there is something about their perspective that is traditional. Something like maybe we get married, then we have kids. Or, you know, if you're a guy and a woman, you're in some heterosexual relationship, this could be like, I buy a house after we get married, or you move into my house. It would be, versus something more modern might be like, oh, the girl buys a house, the woman buys a house and the guy moves in. Like that would be a more modern thing. But traditionally, the guys would be the ones who would be spending the money on the house, buying the house, starting a family, you know, getting married and all that, and things along the lines of that. So there could be aspects of their mindset is traditional, but maybe not completely everything, especially since we also have the Six of Cups, which represents nostalgia and the past and things along the lines of that. So if that is something that you're interested in, that is definitely this person. So where will you meet them? Now that's very interesting. And I say it's interesting because we have this Four of Pentacles representing like holding back, restrictiveness, being a wallflower, being shy, you know, not talking to too many people, similar to the Eight of Swords, upright. The Five of Swords is definitely a card where communication can be very tough or strenuous or challenging. And so the environment seems to be one that is, I don't know, maybe it's just a challenging place to be. Maybe you guys are meeting at the DMV or something like that. Or literally like a courthouse or something like that, where you have like very strict rules on how you need to communicate, where people are fighting legal battles. Like that would totally embody the environment of these cards and their energy. But something about the environment says this is not a place to openly and freely communicate your thoughts. Maybe this is simply at work. Sometimes I get the Hierophant to represent companies and organizations. So that is within the realm of possibilities. But it's like you're meeting in an establishment, and you're meeting in a place where you don't need to be talking too loud. I would say a library, but I mean, the odds of that might be slim. I don't know. But it's just a place where you're not going to particularly be very relaxed, which is interesting. I say it's interesting because it's almost half similar to another pal, half similar. Where the other pal was more so like, you can talk here, but we don't want to. But you guys, it's really like, it's very restrictive on what you can say here and the environment. So something tells me this might be a professional setting. This might be a place where a lot of people go for more serious things like documents or procedures are taking place. This could be something like, it could be a hospital, but I don't see too much hospital energy here with these cards. But it's some types of institutional structure. You could be potentially meeting at school or within a, I'm trying to think, institution, like an educational environment, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be a school, but it could be a place where people come to learn, because we do have the Hierophant there. Justice is interesting. Justice is definitely a card where you want to be more strategic about what you say. And so that's the thing that's really driving home the emphasis of this is more so a professional setting. Okay, you're not just hanging out with your friends and you run into this person. That's not the case here. When it comes to timing, we do have the Four of Pentacles, and I feel like this is the type of energy where maybe you guys have previously met in the past in passing or something along the lines of that, and they didn't say anything. That may be for like 30% of you. But for the other percentage of you, timing is more so when you're open and ready. This is very interesting because this is not giving a specific like, oh, this is going to take a while or this is going to be sudden and quick. It's more so like when you're fully ready to engage in the chaos that can be dating, that can be relationships, when you're not stepping away and holding on to your heart. And this applies for both of you. There seems to be a timeline that indicates that you'll meet relatively soon after that. But if we're talking about specific timing, well, the Hierophant is connected to Taurus, so that's Taurus season, you know. Then we also have Justice connected to Libra. That could be Libra season. So that can be a indication of what timing could be. So keep that in mind as well. I do find it interesting that we have two cards that are connected to Libra. So we do know that this is a very strong and genuine connection here, and that you both really have a serious mindset towards family and relationships. This isn't something that starts off as like a casual fling and then we just happen to get together or something like that and then we're married 20 years. This is like, no, like I approach dating and relationships with the intention of finding a long-term partner or getting married or, you know, having kids or something along the lines of that. This is very much like both of you have this serious mindset. I have a feeling that with this particular pile, there may be some interference within the relationship. Normally I say that because we have this Five of Swords here. And when I see the Five of Swords, that's kind of like somebody who wants what you have. And, or they just don't want to see you happy. They don't want to see you win, right? They're willing to act like a fool just to not see you win. And so something tells me that there are some blockagers or people whispering in their ear. Reminds me, the girlies got me. I love the movie Pride and Prejudice, the one with Keira Knightley. And Mr. Darcy ends up saying something to his friend regarding her sister, Keira Knightley's sister in the movie, that stops him from pursuing her. And so there's something along the lines of that happening where there's somebody who might be whispering in his ear or whispering in your ear that's saying, oh no, that person is X, Y, and Z. Or they're saying that about you and this person is X, Y, and Z. You shouldn't like talk to them or something like that. And I think that is more than likely going to slow down the connection and the two of you coming together. Because though we have the Hierophant and Justice indicating both of you guys are a great match, you both have very similar values, and you're both going to emphasize building and strengthening your connection in the relationship. We have this Eight of Swords blocking them right in the middle of it. So it's like, it's almost like someone's there ensuring that you can't see all the great qualities within each other, or that's like stopping you guys from engaging, or something along the lines of that is happening. It's probably going to be a little bit different from everyone, but just the way I see how the cards are set up, it's definitely indicating some sort of interference, right? But ultimately, because we have this Eight of Swords and the Six of Cups is like right above it, it does show that there is someone here is like encouraging you to push forward, go out there, engage in the connection, explore the connection. And I think once the ball gets rolling and you two start having conversations, then it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to marry this person. That's like generally what's happening. It's interesting how we just got like this vibe of being shy and feeling like you can't talk to this person. Maybe they feel a little bit more like, oh, this person just seems like they have everything, and that's an intimidating factor. And you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to them. It reminds me of that clip I saw once of like on YouTube. What's that show? It's like Pop the Balloon or something. And this woman came out. It's actually happened twice. It happened to a woman and a man. And they were both very good looking. They had really great personalities. They had nice jobs, very ambitious, and no one was interested because there was an intimidation factor. And it may be that either you or them are end up being a little bit more intimidated by them because they seem to be exactly what you're looking for when it comes to a partner or relationship. And so there's an element of that going on. But I do feel like either you or them or somebody is in their corner encouraging you or them to, like I said, engage with each other. In terms of first impressions, I kind of went into that with there's like this intimidation factor a little bit. But I do feel as though the first impressions are like this person reminds me of someone in the past. It's actually interesting because when we have the Six of Cups next to this Five of Swords, it reminds me of that Usher song You Remind Me. Funny. But in that song, he's talking about how this one girl he meets reminds him of this girl who broke his heart, right? And I feel as though that's similar to one of you guys' first impression, where one of the other might be projecting onto you. You might be projecting onto them. They might be projecting onto you. The cards are not being clear as to which one it is. Where they're like, oh, this person looks like someone who treated me bad in the past. Or they have certain characteristics, like maybe, I don't know, could be just like you like the same shows or something. Or you dress similar or whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is triggering for me, right? But obviously you're nothing like that person, or you guys wouldn't have a connection. And so the first impression is not necessarily, I'll say it's not necessarily the best one. You know, guys, I'm a practical reader. I'm an honest reader. I'm not here to tell you that, you know, you meet each other and all of a sudden there's butterflies. Unless I see that. But if I see this Five of Swords here, and I see the Six of Cups, and I see this like Hierophant, which can be a very strict type of energy, very much bound by rules and regulations. It's like, oh, this person might come across very cliquey. This person might come across like they won't talk to me. This person might come across like they would shut me down. Like they only talk to certain people. Like there's a vibe like that sometimes. And that can be the first impression. But this seems to be a hump that you guys get over. So it doesn't really matter in the long run. You guys have all the qualities here when it comes to success within a relationship. I would say the communication is going to need to be opened a little bit, but I do like to see the Justice card on the end because I often get that card to represent honesty and truth and fairness. And so ultimately, you guys will take your time to open up in that regard. Not in terms of like openness and fairness, but just open up more about yourselves and what you're looking for in a partner and things on the lines of that. I feel as though it's just going to take a little bit more time. You have to keep in mind, like, your partner is very much somebody who doesn't like to stray from their box too much. You know, they're not the most adventurous person. We have 0 wands here. Wands indicate risk-taking, being more spontaneous. That's not this person. They're very practical. They like a safe bet. And so because there's this unknown factor of like, oh, I'm not sure if I know you. You know, for some of you, I do say a small percentage of you may know each other. There's like, oh, I don't know if I want to take this risk. I don't know if I want to put myself out there. What if I get rejected? What if this thing doesn't work out? So you have to keep in mind, they're going through managing those anxieties while pursuing this relationship. And so it's going to take time for this person, I think in particular, to open up. And I think once the floodgates open in terms of them being vulnerable and open, I feel as though you guys will reach a very strong understanding. Communication is going to be the foundation of your relationship, along with having very strong similar values. And you know, your values could be so many different things. You know, maybe you both value equality. Maybe you guys both value quality time. Maybe you guys both value financial stability and security. Not everyone values that. So, you know, some people blow their money and whatever. But whatever the case may be, once you guys start that process of opening up and get to know each other more, you find that you have more in common. You find that you guys have everything you need to build a lasting relationship. And I just want you to know that. I'm talking with my hands like away from the camera, guys. So I talk a lot with my hands, but I hold it to my chest. But ultimately, you guys find that you have a very strong connection once you start opening up and get to know each other more. So I want to say that. That's all I have for you, pal. Number 2, sorry if like I always forget to put my hands in the camera. Like I said, I keep my hands to my chest and I kind of talk from like I'm having a conversation right in front of me. But I really feel like this is a good connection, a solid connection. Venus is there to support your energies. You both have good intentions and very practical, down-to-earth vibes. There may be some miscommunications or some people interfering and being a little shady. Maybe somebody has a little bit of a checkered past or something like that. I don't know. But I only say that because we have justice here, and sometimes that can represent legal troubles. But that can happen, like if you stole something from a store as a teenager or whatever. But people change, they transform, and they grow. So I see a level of maturity within this relationship. I do want to say the planet Venus does connect to maturity as well. And so I see a level of maturity within this relationship that hasn't been evident so far. Might be in the other pals, but particularly this pal has that mindset. So I want to leave it there. If you like the reading, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And don't forget to stop by on the weekends for the lives. I also do private readings. Links can be found in the description below. If this pal doesn't resonate with you, choose a new pal, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Don't forget to vote on the polls for whatever type of reading you would like to see next. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 3, let's get into how you'll meet your future spouse. We have the 5 of Wands, the 9 of Wands, the 2 of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, the Hangman, and the Hermit. So, very interesting messaging. Let's get into this. We have the 5 of Wands here, and this is telling us a little bit more about your spouse. So your future spouse is a pretty proactive person. 5 of Wands I usually get to represent someone who is very busy, especially since it's right next to the 9 of Wands. Very active, a lot of ambition, always on the go, lots of things to do, plenty of responsibilities to handle, and they just generally have a busy and full life. I feel as though this is the type of person who is very focused. They have a lot of drive. They have a lot of goals that they want to accomplish. And so this type of person who's like, oh, life's short. I got to keep going. I've got this fire lit under me. So very enthusiastic. Sorry, I meant to say, I don't know why I said 9 of Wands. That must have been like Spirit trying to tell me something. But this is the 9 of Swords. It doesn't matter, because normally when I make those type of slips, that means Spirit really wants me to emphasize the efforts that they are putting in, or a certain aspect of their energy. Still similar energy. It's saying that this person is very hardworking, very much like they have to fight the battles. They're willing to put in the fight. This is not a person who simply lets things slide. You have different people who have different types of personalities. Some people are very non-confrontational. They don't want to be involved. Even if they've been wrong, they may let certain things go. That's not the type of spouse you have. If they have been wrong, they will fight for what they believe in. That all being said, this is definitely a person who may deal with some anxious or even depressive thoughts with the 9 of Swords. The 9 of Swords can be a way of thinking that is very worrisome, has a lot of fear, has a lot of anxieties, has a lot of stressors. So it makes sense given the fact that they have to undergo so many challenges on a regular basis. Then yes, that's going to put them in quite a strenuous mindset. And so I really feel as the way in which they choose to cope is to pull away a little bit. Because we have the Hermit, we have the Hangman, and we have the 2 of Swords. These are all cards that have to do with deeper reflections. And so I feel as though this person is just like, okay, life is chaotic. I need to pull away, and I need to just like release and de-stress in some certain way. What I like about these cards is these cards indicate thoughtfulness. So you have a person who is a deep thinker and highly reflective. Sometimes people, they don't go beyond the surface and they don't really explore their inner world, or maybe even try to understand the inner world of others. That is not the case with this person. Though they are someone who fights for what they believe in, they do understand not everything is a winning battle. We know that because we have the Hangman. And the Hangman is just like, hey, let go, let God, meaning I am not going to keep pushing when I don't see things going in the direction that I would like to go. And I love that because we also have this Wheel of Fortune card, which would be indicative of that when they recognize a situation is not moving in the direction that is beneficial or that is right for them, instead of just keep fighting the same old battles or engaging in the same old patterns, they decide to switch it up. You know, they have the intellect to recognize that they cannot repeat the same mistakes or actions over and over again and expect different results. So they have a mindset in which they are geared towards problem solving and being efficient. There is an element of practicality to them along with their fierceness. I want to say when it comes about the setting of where you're meeting them, obviously this is a setting that can be, there can be a lot going on. All right, I'll say that. The Hangman, though it does represent isolation and pulling away, I have noticed that there are times when the Hangman can represent that there's just a lot going around you. And so I feel like this is a very busy environment, a very busy setting, whether that be some type of community event, though I will say when we have the Hermit card, that's more focused on work. And so for a large percentage of you may meet them through either work or some sort of work related activity. Sometimes people send people away for job conferences or events, or even the work itself might host an event. Like, it depends on your job, but it is going to be for a lot of you related to work, especially when I have the Wheel of Fortune, which connects to Jupiter. Often Jupiter connects to professional settings. It is a planet that represents abundance, and generally to have some abundance you have to work. You know, it's not like the House of Scorpio, which is like inherited wealth ruled by Mars. This is something that you have to work and put in efforts toward. So we can eliminate celebrations, I'll say that, unless this is a work celebration, okay? This is not a general, I went to a friend's party and I met someone there, or I went to a wedding and I was a guest and I met another guest or something like that. That's not happening here. Unless this is related to some sort of work professional setting, then that's not the atmosphere you're meeting them in. When we have the Hangman, that does connect to travel, that does connect to going abroad. So there is an emphasis on that for some of you, that this can represent and be connected to travel, especially when it's next to Jupiter. Jupiter rules over the houses of Sagittarius and Pisces. So we have this double Pisces energy, especially with the Hangman. And so there's an emphasis on some of you, maybe 40% or something along the lines of that, will meet them while traveling, whether that's in the country or outside the country. Just want to note that for some of you. I feel as though the environment is not particularly like a comfortable social setting, which is why I eliminated social events and weddings along the lines of that. And by comfortable, I mean like there's a sense of familiarity. There's a sense of being a little bit more down to earth. More so, I have to present myself in a certain way. And it's not necessarily a concert, right? Or we wouldn't get like the Hangman and the Hermit. It's hard to be isolated and to yourself at a concert unless no one's there, right? Unless you're going to some very unpopular artist or maybe new artist who hasn't quite made it big yet. But it's generally not going to be a setting that's going to be extremely crowded. Now, people are being productive, but it's not crowded. So I do want to emphasize that. This could be a walk in nature as well. Like somewhere that it's going to be a little bit more reclusive or quiet. Sometimes you go for a hike. Sometimes you're walking along the beach. Sometimes you're going on on a path somewhere, some sort of trail. That isn't within the realm of possibility. So, you know, keep that in mind as well. I want to say when it comes to general timing, because we have the Wheel of Fortune and we have the Five of Wands, this pile in particular, there is a sense of speed to it. So I wouldn't think it's going to be too long before you meet this person. But the Hangman is still there. And the Hermit is also a card in which you take your time. And so I would say give it like at least a year or something along the lines of that. And if it's not giving timing, because sometimes the universe wants to focus on less so specific dates and more so just how it feels, then this can be more so Pisces season, Virgo season. But I don't expect it's going to be years and years and years before you meet this person. Not for this pile. I feel though like the circumstances around you guys, because we have this Two of Swords and Nine of Swords and Hermit, Hangman, Wheel of Fortune a little bit, there are a lot of people going in and out. Whenever I get the Wheel of Fortune to represent events, it's like people come and go, people come and go. Rather, they're staying in place for something. Like a wedding, people don't come and go as much. They're there until it ends. Then they go to the reception. Maybe people move or leave between the wedding and the reception. But like, you're generally not having a bunch of people coming in and out all the time. So I feel as though the setting is very much like an open setting in terms of like, you're free to leave and come as you go, and it's not going to be awkward about it. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to what's happening around you, the circumstances, a lot of revolving doors happening there. I feel as though there is a sense of nervousness or anxiety in the atmosphere. People are not exactly, I don't know, people are more worried about what they think or what people think of them as they engage with each other. I don't know why specifically where the cards are pointing me in the direction of the feel of the room or the vibe. Other pals get more specifics, but this is like the vibe of the room is like people are nervous to talk to each other. People are a little bit more standoffish. People are a little bit more concerned with keeping up some sort of appearance. People are being very careful, a little bit more so about how they come across, their presentation. But these cards don't necessarily indicate the desire to openly communicate. Especially we have the Five of Wands. It's a card of conflict and ego battles. Then we have the Nine of Wands, anxiety, stressors. I'm to myself. I'm thinking about past things and everything that could go wrong. And then we have the Two of Swords, which is like, oh, please don't talk to me. I need a moment to myself. Like I just pull away. Then we also have that Hangman, which is about, you know, isolation, self-reflection, going into your own zone. And also the Hermit, another card that's very similar to the Hangman, where it's like, I just need to be by myself. Look at this cat with the fridge, right? And it's like, I'm at home, nobody's bothering me. I got my blanket. I'm going to the fridge. Leave me alone. It's very much a standoffish atmosphere that you guys will meet in. So it's interesting that you guys even, you know, managed to strike up that conversation or make that connection where despite the lack of sociability in the atmosphere, or even some tension to some regards, for some of you, you guys managed to find that connection within this. I think there may be some misunderstandings at first, only because we have this Five of Wands and the Nine of Swords energy, where maybe you or them, or, you know, both of you guys are unsure of like the person's intentions, or maybe you just feel a little bit nervous talking to each other. Sometimes that can happen with these cards. It's like you're scoping each other out. Like this is the pal where you guys see each other, you have an attraction, because we have this Five of Wands there, and that can represent definitely have an attraction. And you're like, let me just observe this person for a little bit before I strike up conversation. And if there's like food in this location, then it's like you both, food or some type of water, you know, you guys both will meet each other at the food station or a water coolers type of situation or something where it causes you to engage. That's for some of you, not all of you. But I just want you to know that where you see each other, you're both interested, intrigued, but you don't immediately make your way over to each other. It's like, I'm just going to scope this person out, see what's going on. It's interesting because there's this level of caution with this pile where both of you are moving like slowly towards each other as time passes where you're at this location, and you're both trying to get a feel for what the other person is like. There's a sense of uncertainty where I think you both can pick up on each other's nervousness. But I do want to say part of the first impression is a sense of, what's the word? Chill? Like, I think one of you is a little bit more relaxed than the other. And so there's an impression like, oh, this person seems relaxed. While the other person comes across like it's more evident that they're more nervous when it comes to engaging. And so the other person is like, oh, this person seems a little bit nervous. But both of you in reality are both nervous. In reality, okay? But one of you comes across as more level-headed than the other. I want to let that be known. I believe that a lot of the conversation is very diverse because we have this Wheel of Fortune where you start talking about maybe higher concepts or things that are a bit more abstract. And then you get into like real world practical things like, oh man, this line is taking forever, or, you know, the decor is interesting, or what do you do for work, and things along the lines of that. So there's a full diversity when it comes to the conversations that you're having and the interactions that you're having. And I like that we got the Hermit there because it connects to Virgo, and Virgo is also seen as a house of dating as well. And I feel as though you'll make plans to go on a date or to meet each other during your first initial meeting because the intrigue is there. And there may even be a little bit of banter. Like, some people like to have that little back and forth banter. And I feel like this pile might be more open to it. Some people are more sensitive, but I feel like you guys share that sense of humor. And so you don't mind a little bit of poking fun, right? And so that's part of the conversation. And then I feel like I said, immediately you guys will set a date to just like meet each other again or something along the lines of that. I don't think Spirit particularly has any advice for you guys. I feel like this is very natural. This is very much like, you know what to do. They know what to do. And there's a sense of, even though there is some anxieties or stressors, there's a sense of like understanding and having a bit of control or confidence in a way. I say that because with the Hangman, it's a little bit more at ease. Like, you know, I've kind of been through the ringer. I've been in situations like this before, or I've dated plenty. So I know that, you know, we make plans, we meet up, we see if we like each other. Like, there's like something along the lines of that. Maybe if there is any advice that Spirit wants to give, then this will have to do with, you know, don't be afraid to open up a little bit more. You don't have to be as guarded because we have this Two of Swords here, and sometimes the Two of Swords is like, oh, I don't want to speak my mind completely, or I feel like I just want to keep the peace. Feel free to come off the fence. Feel free to say what you really think or how you really feel. And there's a lot of luck on your side. Like, this will feel a little bit fated and destined. It'll feel like, oh, well, this is synchronicitous, or you might even receive signs before the meeting. Or before you meet, I should say. But I don't know, I get a good vibe from this. It's like Virgo and Pisces they're their opposite signs. And so it just feels as though this is a very natural, smooth connection, even though there's a lot going on here. A lot going on here. And I really feel as though, even though there's like a strong attraction, both of you don't, it's almost like you're playing it cool. Like, you know, a lot of fronting going on here. So it's like neither one of you want the other person to know that, like, oh, you're really, really feeling them, right? So that's the vibe I get. But I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal or a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget, I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Time is posted on the community tab. Also in the community tab, you can vote on what readings you'd like to see next, like this one. And also, I have private readings that if you are interested in, all you have to do is fill out the form below, and I'll get back to you. And that's that. I'm going to leave it there and continue to follow for any positive, fun updates. We do a lot of great things on this channel. So I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal, number 4. Let's get into how you meet your future spouse. We have the King of Cups, the Six of Wands, the Six of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Knight of Cups again. Okay. Spirit clearly has a message. Let's get into this. So, the cards are letting us know a little bit about your future spouse. We have this King of Cups energy and the Knight of Cups, and Knight of Cups twice. So we have to pay attention to that. So when we have the King of Cups and the Knight of Cups, to me, it represents, like, for the most part, they are an emotionally mature individual. They're someone who is listening to your problems, who is open about their own feelings, who is emotionally regulated. But with the Knight of Cups there, it lets me know that sometimes, you know, maybe they fall into bad habits. Maybe they have moments where they let their emotions rule them or make decisions, and they have, you know, maybe a small crash out moment, I guess, is what you might want to call it. Because the Knight of Cups here, they get frustrated. And when they get frustrated, they don't exactly, you know, think with their head. The Knight of Cups is very feelings oriented. If I don't feel like doing something, I'm not going to do it. You know, like, even if you have responsibilities, the Knight of Cups might neglect that because their emotions are not aligned with that action. And so it lets me know that, yeah, this person is, for the most part, like I said, a very mature person. They understand that they have these moments where maybe they aren't responding in the best ways. Okay? And I gotta throw that message out there because we do have the Knight of Cups twice, and very familiar with that card. The highs are highs, the lows are lows. It's very much an exhausting type of mental state. And they can go through periods like that. Either that, and that just may be for some of you, but the other message is that when you meet this person, you both will have a lot of learning to do when it comes to communicating your feelings, when it comes to understanding each other, when it comes to listening and engaging each other in a healthy dynamic. The Knight of Cups is someone who they're still learning to go through certain circumstances. And because these circumstances are new to them, they're not quite sure how to navigate their feelings around it. And something tells me that more than likely, through this relationship, you two will undergo emotional transformation together. That is the message that Spirit wants to give. You will learn together, you will grow together, and you guys will end up in a place that is very emotionally strong and secure. Now, I do want to say the Six of Wands should actually be a little bit reversed because it's following a cup energy. But since I didn't automatically do that, that tells me that Spirit also has a message that's more so aligned with the winning but not feeling like a winner type of vibe, or winning but having not a lot of applause type of energy here with the Six of Wands. It's interesting because normally when I get the Six of Wands upright, not upright, reverse, there's several positive meanings behind it, but the main positive meanings has to do with either you've got something what you wanted, but it's not exactly what you expected, or the meaning becomes like, you know, you are gaining something that is valuable and, you know, just overall something that's wonderful, but you're not maybe acknowledging the win, or you're already on to the next goal, or you don't get as big of a applause as you would like, but you're still doing quite well. And then another energy behind the Six of Wands reverse that can be positive is that you are re-envisioning and restructuring what it is that you deem success to be. And so when I look at the meanings of that card, to me it tells me that what you're envisioning in your mind of the person that you're going to marry is not quite aligned with who that actually might be. Whether that is physical characteristics, or maybe they have a different job than you expect, or a different history, whatever the case may be. But it doesn't matter, because either way it's like, well, I didn't expect for me to end up with this type of person, but this person fits my life very well and we have a deep connection. Something along the lines of that. Or, you know, for a smaller percentage of you, this can feel a little bit more so like you're with someone who's very compatible for you, but maybe the people around you are kind of like, I don't get it. Like, I don't think you should be with this person, right? That can be very Six of Wands reverse vibes too. So you're happy, but, you know, everyone else is kind of like, eh. So that could be the vibe for some of you. That happens sometimes too. Now, when it comes to, you know, where you're meeting them, what we have here is a setting that is, I want to say, the setting seems more so to be very like business oriented, but also, let me get into this. Also, it just feels as though like a place where people might go to have fun. I say that because we have the Knight of Cups here. And the Knight of Cups spends a lot of time in areas that might be a little bit more creative, or just an area that's going to attract more creative people. Something like, you know, an art fair, something like a museum, something that could be a class, like if you went to a glass blowing class and then you happen to meet someone there. Dance class, not really sure if that would be the place, but that is quite possible. I'm throwing it out there. That's probably a smaller percentage, because usually at dance classes has a lot of like women or men who aren't interested in women at all. But I guess if you are both gay men and you meet at a dance class, that can happen too. Anyway, this is or two women who are interested in women, it can meet a dance class. So I guess a dance class is possible. I don't see this being some type of like festival. I only say that because the Six of Wands is technically reversed, and a festival would be a little bit more enthusiastic, a lot more celebration. It feels like there's probably something that is fun or performative, but it may be more so on a smaller scale. Don't you know how sometimes you go to, like, let's say like in this area, I live in the DMV area, and they'll have like embassy events, and sometimes at the embassy events they might have like a little band playing or something like that. So it would be something like that. Like it's like, oh, this is a celebration, we have like a little small band with music playing, but it's not like this loud party where everyone's like, oh my gosh, Lady Gaga's here, like, or something like that. It's not like that. It's more intimate, smaller, cozier. Could be a charity event because we do have the Six of Pentacles there to represent that. I don't get anything along the lines of spiritual. I only say that because if we look at the imagery on the Eight of Pentacles card, this is like a tattoo parlor type of place. King of Cups and Knight of Cups can be spiritual, but I have not seen them, at least surrounded by these cards, to represent particularly spiritual places. And I don't get the feeling that this is a person that you're going to meet out of the country or abroad or anything along the lines of that. The Knight of Cups, they travel, but they don't travel necessarily too much overseas. That's not how they get represented to me by Spirit. I usually get the Knight of Cups to represent more local travel. Local meaning like anywhere from like 2-3 hours away max. But it's not going to be something that is like, oh, I went to France and I met this lovely guy or woman and we really clicked. Nothing like that. Possibly shopping, only because we have the Six of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles, so that can be like you're spending money, but I really get an artsy vibe to all of this, especially with the Eight of Pentacles being a card of craftsmanship. So it could also even be like a class, like if you met someone at a cooking class or something along the lines of that. I know the most popular places people tend to meet is through friends or family, at parties. If this is a situation, it's more than likely meeting through friends. I say that because with the Six of Pentacles, this is often like representing balance. And when we think about balance, we think about our peers. So it's like equal footing. So I feel as though this is more so like, hey, you might meet through somebody who could be like a potential coworker, or an acquaintance, or like a friend. That would be more so on the line if you meet them through something along the lines of that, right? I have this feeling that you guys are really going to bond over a shared passion. There is some sort of shared passion between you guys that's really coming together and really clicking. And this is what's stirring up the conversation. And unlike the pals that I've seen before, there is this instant chemistry and there isn't a lot of hesitation there. Don't get me wrong. The Eight of Pentacles definitely represents slowing down and looking, does this person check all my boxes in a healthy way? And then, you know, proceeding. But we have this Knight of Cup energy twice. And the Knight of Cups gets swept away in romance. Like they are someone who is that white knight on the horse. They're Prince Charming. They're Romeo and Juliet. Like they're like falling in love, head over heels. They get caught up in the moment. And so I really feel as though there's an instant vibe and there's a really great connection and chemistry when you guys meet right away. Not much of a slow build. Don't get me wrong. One of the other will try to slow it down a little bit, but the feelings are there and they come on very, very strong. Obviously, there's certain things that you have in common, like I said, in terms of interest, in terms of creativity, in terms of your emotional understanding of the world and how you relate to other people as well. Maybe even similar body languages. That could be quite possible, okay? Similar styles as well. Cups generally represent your emotional world, but if you look at things from an astrology perspective, it rules the 8th house, rules the 12th house, and it rules the 4th house. So you might have similar family dynamics. You may find that you have similar childhoods. You can bond over that. 8th house is obviously a lot of intimacy, So very intimate conversations off the bat. I say that because with the Knight of Cups, they can be a little bit of an oversharer, okay? Maybe you guys overshare a little bit first meeting, which makes sense because this feels like a very strong connection off the bat. And I feel there's like this instant bond, a connection with intimacy in this realm. We have the 12th house here. And the 12th house is definitely that house that represents deeper thinking, reflection, vacation, things along the lines of that. When it comes to relating to how you guys could possibly meet, this energy is a little bit more free-spirited. And once again, it kind of goes back to that artsy vibe. In terms of the conversation, it can represent you guys connecting over spirituality. Now, when it comes to the when, I'll say this. We don't have any sword energy. We're predominantly, this is a cup spread, and we have a few pentacles here and one wand. And there's also an absence of major arcana. So for me, it's like you'll meet them relatively soonish. But with the Six of Wands reversed there, it's like, it feels as though, like if you're dating now, or if you've been thinking about dating or putting your foot back out there, there'll be a period where it feels as though you're putting in the work, but you're not getting the results that you would like. And so by saying this, I'm going to say this feels like a delay. This feels like this is taking forever. But in actuality, I don't feel as though it's going to be a super long time before you meet this person. And that's all I can get from this card, these particular cards, where it feels longer than it actually is. Especially with the cups there. Like when you get that King of Cups, Knight of Cups, the Knight of Cups in particular feels like one day feels like 10 weeks. You know, it just feels that way. And the King of Cups, he's a little bit more steady, but sometimes, you know, ultimately he's a cup guy, right? And he's like, man, this day, you know, 5 minutes feels like 5 hours. Like, I know that's not really what it is, but I know I'm just like anxious or I'm bored and I want something else to do, whatever. He recognizes his feelings, but the feelings are still there. You know, he's still aware that it is his emotional and internal world that is making things feel this way. So I want you to know that you'll feel as though this is taking long, but in terms of actual timeline, I don't think it's going to be too long before you meet this person. I'm looking at the cards, and I know you guys are vibing right away. I know that you guys are investing in each other, trying to get to know every single detail about each other. I feel as though this person's very responsible with their finances. We have the Six of Pentacles. We have the Eight of Pentacles. They might even be in a place in their life where they're building towards something, whether that they're in school, whether that they have recently graduated. This is within the realm of possibility, and there's all types of degrees you can get. Could have just recently got a master's, PhD, whatever, bachelor's, graduated trade school, got a certification, had to take a test, whatever. There's just different levels to things. So I feel as though part of me says that they even might be a student or they're coming out of that by the time, around the time you meet. This can also represent that they are someone who takes budgeting very seriously. They're someone who is thoughtful in how they choose to structure their life, but they're not someone who's against spontaneity, especially with that King of Cups and the Six of Wands energy. They're up for a good time. I really do feel as though this person has had a wide range of experiences, and they're currently, it's like the cards are letting me know where they're currently at in their life is not exactly the place where they want to be and they want to stay, and they want to continue to grow, and they are actively making moves towards expanding their life and growing it and making it even more fulfilling and happy. I feel like of all the cards I've seen, I feel like the person you're going to meet is a pretty happy person. There's areas that they wish to work on, but for the most part, I feel like this person is an upbeat person. They're a happy person. They wear their heart on their sleeve, no pun intended, especially given these cards. What you see is what you get. Yes, sometimes they can be, you know, a little impulsive, but for the most part, I feel like this is somebody who is highly romantic, loves planning cute dates. You're going to have a lot of fun dating each other. The vibes are just good. I don't know what to say. Like, the vibes are good. This is not to say, you know, you won't argue or whatever, but I feel as though there's a mutual understanding between you. Like, there just is. Right off the bat, they think you're cute, you think they're cute, and you guys vibe. All right, that is what happens. I don't know how to expand on this anymore. And just keep in mind that this person is very generous, very thoughtful, type of person who is more than likely going to be well-mannered, open doors, give you the shirt off their back if it's cold, you know, things along the lines of that. Like, they're very much a true romantic. So all the little tropes, they love it. They love romance. That's something that they're not someone who's like so practically minded that they're like, oh, why do I need to give you gifts on Valentine's Day? Like, no, they're like, I'm going to give you gifts on Valentine's Day. I'm going to do a whole, you know, scene. I'm going to have a whole bunch of balloons, like, and flowers everywhere. Like, it's just, they love the romance. So I really see that coming. There's not really much else I can say about this pile. So I'm going to end it here because I don't want to give any just random interpretations that might just apply for 2% of you. So I'm going to end it there. And I really enjoy the vibes of this deck, this pile, I should say. If you like this reading, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok. TikTok, I post like my life, which I'm going to post a new vlog relatively soon if you're interested in that. If you just want the tarot stuff, come to my lives. I do a weekly collective for the scheduled lives, pop up during the week if you want to ask me questions. I often also offer private readings, tarot, and Vedic chart readings. As well, if you want a Western chart reading, I can do that as well, but I prefer Vedic. And don't forget to vote on the polls, and you can vote on what type of readings we do next, like this one. So I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 5. Let's get into how you'll meet your future spouse. We have the Magician. We have the World. We have the Six of Swords. We have Death. Then we have the Emperor. And we have the Six of Pentacles. You know, we keep getting the Six of Pentacles card. I think we've got it for like 3 different spreads. So strange. I mean, it's good because it means that you guys are all meeting, well, not all of you, but like a good portion of you are meeting people who are very open, generous, and receptive and balanced. It's not just a one-way street in which you're giving and they're taking and taking, or opposite. You're both giving and receiving. So I like that. I like the energy here. So when we continue talking, let's just continue talking about your future spouse. We already know that they're very giving. This is someone who is not selfish. They're not thinking of themselves all the time. They see that you need help. They offer help. They plan dates. They let you plan dates. They try to create a mutual exchange and balance. I also get the Six of Pentacles to represent advice and having solid advice. Generally, they'll give you a grounded perspective on things. So I really like to see this card. It represents support and help. And honestly, it is a card of reciprocity. So whether that is, you know, emotions, whether that's time, whether that's energy, whether that is money, resources, it's like, hey, you can eat off my plate. Not a really selfish person. Love to see that. When we go into the Magician and the World, you're meeting someone who is highly accomplished. Now, I'm not saying the other piles aren't having highly accomplished spouses or significant others. It's just that the cards aren't showing that, right? Like they're not focused on that element. But when it comes to you and your significant other, it's important for you to know that this person is highly accomplished. The Magician is somebody who uses all the tools available to them to accomplish what they need to do and set out in the world. And when we have the World, the card of accomplishing and success and accolades and accumulation of everything that you've ever done, then this represents being someone who has put in the time, the efforts, and used their skills to create success in their life, especially since we also got the Emperor card here, showing that this person is highly accomplished. It's also next to the Death card energy. Death card energy is the house of shared resources. So something tells me when you guys come together and when you get married, it's not really a separation of assets type of thing. It's like we're both sharing our money, we're expanding the wealth, and you will grow in your financial resources. So that is absolutely lovely. Six of Swords here does tell me that this person more than likely is someone who you might have to travel to meet, you might have to travel to meet them. You might have to be on vacation when you meet them. They might be from a different country, vice versa, whatever. We do have the World again to emphasize that this person may be from a different cultural background at the very least, if not from a different country. Or you just meet them on your travels. But I really feel as though that there is a sense of foreign non-natal country energy going on here. I really think that this is an intelligent person. When we have the Magician card, it's definitely someone who utilizes their brain, utilizes their intelligence, very deep thinker, not surface level at all, especially since it's right next to the World, and right under it we have the Death card, Scorpio. And if we combine the two, when we're talking about the house of Scorpio and Mercury being in it, it's about taking the time to deeply analyze your inner world and even talking through those deeper emotions. Okay, so that is something to keep in mind when we have this type of person who you are ending up with. They have a deep understanding of themselves. They value themselves, and also other people value them, which is why I go back to emphasizing that there is a level of respectability, of accomplishment, of recognition when it comes to who this person may be. This person has a lot of confidence. They're someone who, I don't know how else to say that. They just like themselves, and a lot of other people like them too. Keep that in mind. So where you'll meet them. As I've already mentioned, I feel like you'll meet them during your travels. If it's not a scenario that's like that, then this would represent meeting them in a scenario where there may be some like entertainment factors going on. Sometimes I quite literally just get the Death card to mean nighttime. It happens, just darker environments. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. If you were traveling and you happen to just be out on the streets at night vibing, you might meet them, or you go to a late night show somewhere, some comedy show, you run into them, you meet them. That can be within the realm of possibilities. The Emperor can also represent more so exclusive events. I mean, think about it. The Emperor doesn't just let anyone into their castle, and then the Death card can represent things that are private. Also, it can represent things that are like ending. I've seen the Death card to represent out with the old, in with the new. So if you are in a place that is transitioning, maybe a gentrified neighborhood, that is within the realm of possibility with that. Or maybe a business that is like closing, or they're opening up a new place, and maybe you meet them near a construction site. It could be quite literal in that sense as well. But generally that is the vibe of the Death card. It's like, I'm trying to get rid of this old junk, I'm getting it out. Maybe it's like a garage sale or a vintage sale or something like that. But it's generally a place where the older things that are no longer of value go to somebody or something or whatever, goes to disappear, to die, to cast away, unfortunately. Or fortunately, but either way, it depends on how you look at it. I wouldn't say the environment is creative, more so entertaining. Like, you know, Vegas Strip entertaining. There's a lot of like fun. It's just fun, maybe nightlife, maybe private event, maybe more exclusive event, invite only type of thing. Something along the lines of that. But there does seem to be this element of exclusivity. And I think I might even said like a charity banquet for some people. Definitely Six of Pentacles represents that charity factor that is going on. We also talk about a place where somebody might be celebrated. So some event along the lines of that. I really feel this is not you meeting through a friend or anything on the likes of that. Sometimes the Magician can represent online dating, possibly. Yeah, it can. And not, I mean, I say that because the Magician is connected to Mercury, and that's a realm, represents communication, and it's right next to the World card, so it's like communication around the world, around the globe, and that can represent the internet. So for this pile in particular, there's more stronger indications for like online dating. I think that when we're talking about like the location itself, you know, it actually could even be a restaurant. That's possible. Because when I think of the Six of Pentacles, like, it's like giving and receiving, right? You're giving the money, you're receiving food. There's something like that. Some restaurants could be private, could take a while to get a reservation at a restaurant, depending on how popular it is. If it's a new spot and it's like transitioning and really trendy or something along the lines of that, it could be a trendy place as well. So that could be part of the vibes that's going on. When we're talking about like how any first impressions, how you're viewing each other when you first see each other, you know, it's interesting because I feel as though, how do I explain this? I feel as though you, either one or you or both of you are a little bit like feeling yourselves. Like you're like, I'm the ish. I know this person thinks I look good. I see this person watching me and I know that they think I look good. So it's almost like you both have that vibe where you're both seeing each other and you're like, yeah, this person knows I'm the ish. Like this person thinks I'm, you know, beautiful, handsome, whatever. It's funny. It's funny in a way because you're both mutually thinking that, and or one of the others thinking that. But it's coming up strongly. Could be more so them than you, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was both of you. And I feel as though immediately it's a good vibe. Like the Six of Pentacles shows that you guys are very supportive of each other. This shows, honestly, it doesn't show a lot of conversation. I'm going to be honest. There's not a lot of talking here. This is more so read between the lines. Like this is like read a little bit of body language, pick up on the vibes. Like, let me just hand you my number really quick. Like you see how on this card, this cat is robbing the bank and given to people. It's almost like I feel like this person's going to come up to you. They're going to give you their card. Like they're going to, or card or number, or talk to you for a little bit. And, you know, or ask for your number or something like that. But I don't feel like this is we're having elaborate conversations. Though I really feel as though this person is very good with words. And they know how to articulate themselves. But they also know how to read body cues, right? So they're like, okay, I think this person's feeling me. I'm going to, you know, go over and I'm going to see if they're single. This is the card pile where your spouse is going to initiate, for sure. Some piles is a little different. This pile, your spouse is initiating. Doesn't matter their gender. They're initiating, they're coming to you. And I feel as though either they're going to ask for your number or they're going to give you the number, or I think some people do Instagram nowadays. I don't know. I'm not a young kid. Some people ask for Instagrams. So they ask about that or whatever, and they try to follow you or something, right? I feel like that's the vibes here when it comes to that. But I really do think they see you, they're interested, you pique their interest. But the Death card can represent a little bit of an element of mysteriousness. And so they're intrigued. They feel like you present well. There's something different about you. I really feel like when we have this double Mars energy, that's obviously an energy that represents chemistry and attraction. So the intrigue's there. They see you, they approach you, you know, start a short conversation and ask for your number. And then they're probably going to keep, you know, talking to other people as well. Because this is not an energy where the person is like, I'm just going to sit and talk to you. This type of energy where the interaction's brief, and then either one or both of you just start going and, like, you know, talking to other people or making your way around the room or whatever. I think when it comes to timing, there's a lot going on here. When I get the Magician, though, I usually represents, like, timing is whenever you decide to put the efforts in that direction. Whenever you start to put the efforts in that direction, the energy starts to shift, and it's like you start the journey to finding this person again. And I say again because obviously we have the Six of Swords, which lets me know, you know, you've probably been through some stuff, right? Six of Swords is in this place where they're like, all right, we're moving on to better days, right? And so for me, it feels as though once you start to really say, okay, I'm jumping into this love thing again. And this is for those of you who are really single. If you're already in a relationship and you're just looking to reaffirm to see, oh, is this the person, it's the person I'm currently with, the person I'm going to marry, that's a different interpretation for this. But for those of you who are single, I will say that this represents when you decide to say, I'm going to make that effort again. And I mean effort, like, because the World card's here and that's a long journey. When I restart that journey, that's when things start going into motion, and I increase my likelihood of meeting this person again. But if we're going by the timing on the cards, I would say Scorpio season, Aries season, and then I would probably say more so like colder months if I had to choose that with these cards. Just in terms of timing. But the Magician and the World is like, you're in charge of moving this process along. It's not a matter of you just standing there and waiting and then they'll come to you. It's not going to happen that way. You actually have to actively be putting yourself out there with the intention of meeting someone. I'm being serious with this. And what else can I say when it comes to the cards? I feel as though any advice Spirit wants to give you is, this is not a short road. This is a long road, and there are a lot of emotional ups and downs. There's even going to be times where I don't know, there's times in your life where you'll feel like your love life is just feeling like you're walking through it like a ghost or something. There's a sense of having some disappointments that just emotionally drain you. But the cards are saying that your person is definitely out there. And when you meet them, again, you feel excited. And it'll feel a bit like you're being blessed, or like you have this person who is doing things for you that no one else has done or put in the work or an effort for. And they come with a sense of responsibility. And I'm not going to lie, with the Emperor card there, I do get a little bit more tradition. If like you're not into, like, if you're like in a heterosexual relationship, if you're not a fan of the man leading, I don't know, this pile is a little bit more so. I would prefer to pay for dates. I would prefer to plan things. Like the guy has that mindset. if you're in that type of relationship. And also if you guys are just like trying to reaffirm timing and things along the lines of that, and you're already in that relationship and you're just like, oh, is this the person? It's hard to interpret it based off of that. Like, the best answer I can give for those of you who are currently with someone and kind of want to confirm is that this is the type of person who you're going to want to brag about to other people, who is somebody who is well traveled. Sometimes I get the world to also represent highly educated, and also someone who is highly accomplished. Not only do they look good on paper, they look good off of paper as well. And I will say this can bring about a more so, I don't know if eccentric's a word, but they have a unique particular style. Like, you wouldn't describe their style as basic or simplistic, especially with that Mercurial energy there and the Saturn World card there. Saturn World card is a little bit more structured. But both of those cards come together, indicate a level of creativity and uniqueness. I also want to say, when I get the Death card, it can represent someone who is just very intense, or someone who is, they have a very reflective mindset, and they're not a type of person who's going to be passive or let things go. And as I'm saying, in terms of timing, similar to the before, it's having to do with more so in the colder months, Scorpio season, possibly Aries season, possibly. And I feel as though the environment it's lively, but there's this element of, we have a capacity of how many people we can let into this space. And I say this because also the world card's very cliquey as well. Like, we're very restrictive here. Like, we're exclusive. So that is what I want to say for you guys. And hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new power, a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget that I go live on the weekends. I pop up during the week. You can ask me questions during the live. You can also vote in the polls on what readings we want to see next. And if you want a private reading with me, all you have to do is fill out the form below. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir.